Hello everyone, it's me Uncle John. Today I am going to read S6 6002 Absolutely Lucy, Part B. Bobby had read this book 3 times since he checked it out of the library. He had learned a lot about beagles, learned what their dogs they like to run and chase. This puppy had already chewed up the wrappings from Bobby's present. Bobby closed the book. He watched the dog as she ran around the yard. He was not a shy dog. She loved running up to people. She thought everyone was a friend. Puppy reminded him of his favorite babysitter. Bobby was very sad when she moved away. Lucy was happy to see him. She had lots of friends. Sometimes she took Bobby to the park. They would see other children there. He would try to hide behind her. But Lucy would just whisper in his ear, "You're a great kid," and she would take him by the hand to meet the other children. Bobby didn't feel so shy when he was with Lucy. Lucy, that would be a perfect name for the puppy. The dog was pretty like Lucy, and brave and fun. Yes, he would name his beagle Lucy. Bobby tried it out. "Come here, Lucy." Lucy stopped running. "Lucy, girl, come here." The puppy bounded over to Bobby. Bobby picked her up, and she started licking his face. Okay. Bobby laughed. "I get it. You like the name Lucy." Lucy stopped licking. She looked right at Bobby and nodded her head. That's what it looked like anyway. "Wow, Lucy," Bobby said. "You already know your name." Was he lucky or what? Lucy was smart. Lucy was beautiful. Lucy could understand human talk. Most of all, Lucy liked him. Lucy wasn't just the best dog in the world. She was his friend. Chapter 4, Lucy in Trouble. Lucy may have been the best dog in the world, but she wasn't the easiest dog to live with. She liked to howl. She liked to run. She liked to chew. She loved to chew. One morning, Bobby's mother asked, "Has anybody seen my slipper?" Bobby had seen it. It was at the foot of his bed. A brown, fleecy slipper all curled up in a ball, looking like a mouth. It made Bobby jump when he saw it. "I think Lucy got hold of your slipper," Bobby told her. His mom sighed. "Puppies like to chew. I should have been more careful. From now on, let's put the things she might like to chew out of sight." The family tried. Mrs. Quinn gave Lucy her other slipper. "Show away, Lucy," she said. Then she moved the rest of her shoes to a shelf in the closet. She put her magazines on a table. Bobby tried to make sure his clothes were picked up. He didn't always remember. He remembered better after Lucy chewed a hole through his favorite Chicago Cubs t-shirt. Mr. Quinn hung up all his clothes. He put his dirty socks in the hamper. He put his slippers on his night table. "See," he bragged, "it's not hard to keep Lucy away from things. You just have to be careful like me." One hot evening, Mr. Quinn came home after work. He was tired and sweaty. He tossed the folder onto the sofa. "What's that?" Bobby's mother asked. "Some papers I have to read. I have a big meeting in the morning." "Do it after dinner," Mrs. Quinn told him. "It's almost time to eat." Bobby was slurping spaghetti when he heard another sound. It came from the living room. It was a tearing, ripping sound. Bobby looked up. His mother and father heard it too. There was one more noise, growling. "I moved all the magazines," Mrs. Quinn said. "Must be." Mr. Quinn jumped up. Mrs. Quinn and Bobby hurried to follow him. The living room was covered with pieces of paper. They were the important papers that Mr. Quinn had brought home with him. Some of them were torn. Some were chewed. Lucy was pawing and biting on a piece of yellow paper. "Oh no," Mr. Quinn moaned. Mrs. Quinn rushed to pick up the paper. Bobby grabbed Lucy up in his arms. He wiggled to get free. "No, Lucy, chewing those papers was a bad thing to do." Lucy looked around. She watched Mr. Quinn rubbing his hand through his hair and Mrs. Quinn gathering paper. Lucy seemed to know she had made a big mess of things. She hung her head. "You can still read them," Mrs. Quinn said. She picked up a piece of paper with a big hole in the middle. Well, maybe not this one. It was my fault. I shouldn't have left the folder on the sofa. He still looked mad. Lucy wriggled out of Bobby's arms. She trotted over to Mr. King, who was now down on his knee, helping his wife pick up the paper. Lucy licked his hand. Lucy, are you trying to make up with me? Mr. King tried to keep a stern look on his face. Lucy licked his hand again. Mr. King had to smile. It's very hard to stay mad at you. Almost as hard as keeping things out of your way. He rubbed the dog's head. Lucy jumped up and down, happy again. What are you going to do? Mrs. Quinn asked the husband. I guess I'll read what I can. What's so funny? Bobby asked. When I was about your age, I once forgot to do my homework, so I told the teacher. My dog ate it. You did? Bobby's eyes were wide. My teacher didn't believe me. Mr. King laughed harder. I wonder if my boss will believe me when I tell him that your dog ate my homework. Chapter 5, Lucy to the rescue. The month of July was hot. Bobby's mother said it was hot enough to fry an egg on the sidewalk. But when Bobby asked her for an egg, she just glared at him. Hot weather was putting everyone in a bad mood. Bobby looked out his living room window. He could see the children who had moved in across the street. There was a boy who was younger than Bobby, a girl who was older than Bobby, and another boy just about Bobby's age. The children were playing volleyball. The girl and the little boy were one team. The other boy was a team all by himself. He was good at hitting the ball over the net. The game looked like fun. Bobby wished he could be playing with the new kids. Then he thought about going across the street and saying hello. He knew he absolutely could not do it. Meeting new people made his heart pound fast. His face got red. Even his ears got red. He was afraid he would do something stupid. No, it was better not to try and meet new people. Anyway, now that he had Lucy, he didn't need any other friend. Lucy woke up from her nap. She danced around Bobby. Do you want to go for a walk? Bobby asked. What if they went for a walk? Those kids across the street tried to talk to him. What would he say? Are you sure you want to go? Bobby asked Lucy. Lucy kept on dancing. All right, I'll get your leash. Bobby and Lucy went outside. Bobby snuck a look across the street. The children were gone. Bobby and Lucy walked down the street. No one was around. Maybe everyone was inside, trying to keep cool. House on the corner was big and yellow. Old Mr. Davis lived in the house. Sometimes Bobby saw him bringing in his newspaper or weeding his garden. His garden was full of roses, daylilies, big sunflowers that were taller than Bobby. Mr. Davis was sitting in a rocking chair on his porch. When Bobby and Lucy walked past, Mr. Davis lifted his hand. Hi, Bobby, he said in a tired voice. What's your dog's name? Lucy. Bobby could feel his face starting to get red. Lucy stood up on a hind leg and barked at the sound of her name. Bobby hurried on. On the next block was a small park. It was mostly for little kids. The children went on the swings or played in the sandbox. Today the park was empty except for a toddler and his babysitter. The boy was taking fast baby steps on his chubby legs. He looked like he might tumble over, but he never did. The boy started to cry when he saw Lucy. His babysitter picked him up. I guess he's afraid of dogs, the girl said. Bobby didn't see how anybody could be afraid of Lucy. She's nice. She likes everybody, Bobby said. Do you want to say hello to the doggy? The babysitter asked the boy. He shook his head no. I'm sorry, the babysitter said to Bobby. Would you mind taking your dog to the other side of the park? Bobby felt bad that the boy didn't like Lucy, but he did what the babysitter asked. He and Lucy walked away. Bobby sat on a park bench. He tossed a stick to Lucy. Fetch, Lucy, Bobby said. He wanted to see if she would bring it back to him. She didn't. He looked over at the little boy. Too bad he wouldn't give Lucy a chance. But Bobby knew it was hard to give something new a chance. It was too hot to stay in the park for long. Slowly, Bobby and Lucy walked home. Mr. Davis was still sitting in his chair, but now his eyes were closed. He must be sleeping, Bobby thought. He was ready to walk by, but Lucy stopped and stood very still. What's wrong? Bobby wanted to go home and have a cool drink. Lucy wouldn't move. She stared at Mr. Davis. She pulled hard on her leash. She wanted to go up on Mr. Davis' porch. No, Lucy, Bobby said. But Lucy wouldn't take no for an answer. She kept tugging on her leash. Finally, Bobby followed her up the stairs. Mr. Davis was sweating. His eyes were still closed. Mr. Davis? Bobby said softly. Mr. Davis didn't answer. Bobby felt scared. Are you okay? He asked. Mr. Davis, can you hear me? Mr. Davis' eyes fluttered. Bobby, are you okay? Bobby asked again. Bobby, go get your mother. Mr. Davis said in a weak voice. I don't feel very good. Bobby and Lucy ran all the way home. Chapter 6. One friend, Bobby's mother, raced over to Mr. Davis' house. Bobby and Lucy were right behind her. Mr. Davis was breathing hard. My medicine is on the kitchen table. Bobby had never seen his mother move so fast. She brought out the medicine and a glass of water. She helped Mr. Davis take his medicine. I'll be better in a minute or two. I'm going to call 911, Mrs. Quinn said. No. The medicine works fast. Take me into the house. Mrs. Quinn helped Mr. Davis inside. He sat on the couch. He was just starting to look better. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare anybody. I was just so tired. I couldn't get inside to get my medicine. Mrs. Quinn turned to Bobby. How did you know Mr. Davis was sick? I didn't. It was Lucy. Lucy, his mother exclaimed. She knew something was wrong. Bobby told her she wouldn't go home until we checked on Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis was just sitting up straighter. That little dog is a hero, he said. Bobby looked down at Lucy, who was sitting quietly at his feet. Ah, Lucy, you're a hero. Mrs. Quinn gave Lucy a pat. I should say so, she said. Mr. Davis, how are you feeling now? Mr. Davis took a deep breath, just about back to normal. Can I call someone for you? My daughter, maybe, he replied. They would wait with Mr. Davis until his daughter came over. Mr. Davis had a very interesting house. Pictures of soldiers and cowboys were on the wall. Two big fish hung on the wall, too. Mr. Davis told Bobby he caught those fish when he was a boy. The other things that filled the house were books, and more books. Some were in bookshelves, some were on table. There were piles of books on the floor. Bobby liked the book of Bible stories with the shiny colored pictures. Mr. Davis' daughter made a fuss when she came. She thanked Bobby and his mother over and over. She thanked Lucy too. Mr. Davis told Bobby to come by any time. The next day was harder than the one before. Bobby was bored. Mom, will you take me to a movie? He asked. I'm busy paying bills. Maybe later. Bobby had an idea. Do you think I should go to Mr. Davis' house? Bobby asked. Looked up at him. Do you want to? His house had lots of neat stuff. Bobby told her. And he told me to come over any time. Yes, he did. His mother agreed. I could see if he's feeling better today, Bobby said. It would be very nice of you to visit Mr. Davis, Bobby's mother said. Okay, Lucy and I will go. Bobby put Lucy on her leash and they walked down the street. The louder Bobby's heart bumped. It was one thing to help Mr. Davis when he was sick. It was another thing to stop by for a visit. Maybe we should just go home, Bobby whispered to Lucy. But Lucy pulled Bobby forward. Mr. Davis was working in his yard. Hello there, Mr. Davis called. I'm feeling fine today. Did you come by to say hello? Lucy hurried toward the gate. Bobby had to run to keep up with her. Yes. There was no turning back now. My daughter brought me some cookies and lemonade this morning, Mr. Davis said as they climbed the stairs. Would you like some? Bobby nodded. Bobby, Mr. Davis, and Lucy went inside. Mr. Davis got the lemonade and cookies. Bobby looked at a picture of a cowboy on the wall. That was my grandfather, Mr. Davis. Your grandfather was a cowboy? Bobby asked with surprise. He was a cowboy in Texas after the Civil War. He pointed to another picture. That's him when he was a soldier. Wow. Cowboy and a soldier. All my grandfather does is work in a grocery store. Would you like me to tell you about my grandfather? Sure. Mr. Davis sat on the couch. Bobby sat next to him. Lucy snuggled between them. Mr. Davis opened the photo album that was on the table. Now this is a picture of my grandfather when he was a boy in Ohio. That little fellow with him is his friend from the next farm. They were friends for their whole lives. They even went to Texas together when they were grown up. Bobby liked listening to Mr. Davis' story. He especially liked the stories about the two young friends. Bobby looked over at Mr. Davis. Bobby thought maybe now he had a friend. White hair, lots of wrinkles, old, but a friend. Chapter 7, Dog School. School? Bobby exclaimed. Mom, Lucy doesn't want to go to school. Bobby's mother looked out the kitchen window at Lucy. Lucy was digging a hole in Mrs. Queen's garden. It was the third time this week. Bobby, Lucy needs to go to obedience school. She does what I tell her. Let's go outside, I'll show you. Bobby and his mother went outside. She was still busy digging. Lucy, come here, girl. Lucy didn't look up. Lucy, Bobby called again. Lucy did lift her head, then she went back to digging. Bobby went over to Lucy and picked her up. She squirmed. Okay, try this. Bobby put Lucy down on the ground. Sit, Lucy, sit. Lucy looked at Bobby. Sit. Lucy lowered her tail down to the ground. She almost sat down, but she didn't. Her tail started wagging. She jumped up. Then she ran around in a circle, trying to catch her tail. See what I mean? Bobby's mother asked. Lucy needs to learn to sit. She needs to learn to stand quietly. She needs to learn how to obey. But it's summer. Bobby complained. Nobody should have to go to school in the summer. Summer is a perfect time for the dog to go to school. Obedience classes are starting in the park. I think we should sign up Lucy. They talked about the obedience school with Bobby's father. He thought sending Lucy to school was a very good idea. Maybe Lucy will learn to like a leash, Mr. King said. Lucy didn't like being on a leash at all. Lucy liked to run free. Bobby didn't think there was a school in the world that could make Lucy like a leashy. We'll take Lucy to school, Bobby asked. His parents looked at each other. Why don't you and I take her, Bobby? His father asked. Bobby didn't like this idea at all. It was bad enough. Lucy had to go to school. He didn't want to go to school too. School meant new people to meet. New people he'd have to talk to. Can I think about it? Yes, think about it, Bobby. But don't take too long. Lots of people want to sign their dogs up for obedience school. The next day, Bobby and Lucy went to visit Mr. Davis. Bobby told Mr. Davis about obedience school, but why don't you want to go? Mr. Davis could feel his face got red. Too many new people, he mumbled. Are you shy, Bobby? Mr. Davis asked with surprise. I guess, Bobby said in a quiet voice. Really? You don't seem like a shy boy to me. Now it was Bobby's turn to be surprised. I don't? Not at all, Mr. Davis said. Bobby was glad he didn't seem like a shy boy to Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis poured some lemonade into Bobby's glass. Bobby, what about Lucy? He asked. What about her? Do you think she needs to go to obedience school? Mr. Davis asked. Bobby had to be honest. Yes, you're her owner, Mr. Davis reminded him. Don't you think you should be with her at school? My dad could take her. Would that be the same? Mr. Davis asked. I think Lucy would like to have you there with her. Lucy was just sitting next to Bobby. She gave a long, low howl. Bobby had to laugh. Yes, I guess she would. You never can tell, Bobby. Maybe obedience school will be fun. Fun? Bobby didn't think so. But if Lucy had to go to obedience school, Bobby was going with her. Lucy needed him. Chapter 8, Two Friends. Big dog, little dog, furry dog, sleek dog, mighty dog, and mutt. Dogs were walking, running, barking, and yapping all over the park. It was the first day of obedience school. Lucy trotted to the edge of the grass. Then she stopped and looked up at Bobby. She has never seen so many dogs, Bobby said to his father. I think there are only about 10 dogs, Mr. Crane said. It just seems like more because they are so noisy. How is Lucy going to learn to be obedient when all these dogs are so wild? Bobby asked. Dogs will learn to be obedient together, Mr. Crane said. But he didn't look all that sure. A chunky woman with curly hair and a big smile said hello. She wore a big, shiny silver whistle around her neck. I'm Marcia. I am the trainer, she said. Mr. Quinn introduced himself. He introduced Bobby and Lucy. Marcia leaned over and patted Lucy's head. Hello, Lucy. You're going to be a good student, aren't you? Lucy tried to jump on Marcia and lick her face. Marcia just laughed. We'll study in a few minutes. When I blow my whistle, meet me by the big oak tree. Marcia pointed out the tree. Then she walked away. She seems nice, Mr. Quinn said. Lucy liked her, Bobby said. Hi, said a girl about Bobby's age. Bobby looked at the ground. Hi, he mumbled. My name is Candy, the girl said. This is Butch. She pointed to her dog, a boxer. Mr. Quinn patted the Butch on the head. Hello, Butch. Hello, Candy. I'm Mr. Quinn, and this is Bobby. Butch sniffed at Lucy. Lucy sniffed right back. How long have you had Lucy? Candy asked. Before Bobby could answer, Candy said, We have had Butch for about 2 months. We got him from a neighbor who was moving away. His name was already Butch. He looks like a Butch, don't you think? Is Lucy a good dog? Looked at his father. Bobby hoped he would answer all the girl's questions. What about it, Bobby? Mr. Quinn asked. Is Lucy a good dog? Yes, Bobby said quietly. Butch isn't. Butch gave a long growl. Butch is wild. Candy looked rather happy about the fact. My mother says Butch is driving her crazy. Candy's mother joined the group. That's why Butch is going to obedience school, she said. Marcia blew her whistle. Dogs and their owners gathered by the big oak tree. Go ahead, Bobby, his father said. What about you? I'll wait on the sidelines and watch, his father answered. I thought we were going to do this together, you, me, and Lucy. No, Mr. Quinn said. A dog needs one person to train with. Candy tugged at Bobby's arm. Come on, let's go. Bobby looked back at his father as Candy dragged him away. His father just gave him a wave. Everyone was lining up with their dog. I think our dogs are the best, don't you? Candy asked. Bobby looked at the other dog. It was hard to judge. All the dogs were so different. He thought Lucy was the best. He wasn't too sure about Butch. Lucy and Butch are the best, right? Candy asked again. Looked like he might be the best at growling. He was growling loudly at the other dog. Candy was still waiting for an answer. I guess our dogs are the best, Bobby finally said. Candy said, I like having a big dog. The other day, Butch, Candy sure liked to talk, Bobby thought to himself. Marcia blew her whistle again. We'll begin by teaching our dogs how to come when we call their name. Dogs want to learn to obey their master. It makes them happy. It makes us happy. For the next half hour, the owners called the dog. When they came, the owners patted their pets and said, Good dog. By the end of the class, Lucy was coming when Bobby called her. Butch was another story. Sometimes Butch ran away when Candy called him. Sometimes he sat down and scratched himself every once in a while. When he felt like it, Butch came. He's getting the hang of it, don't you think so? Candy asked Bobby when the class was over. Bobby didn't want to hurt Candy's feeling. Well, he's trying, Bobby said. Bobby picked up Lucy. He looked around for his father. Let's go get some ice cream, Candy said. What? Bobby asked with surprise. No one his age had ever asked him to go for ice cream. We worked hard. Let's get some ice cream. Candy repeated, I don't think I can. Bobby said, why not? Candy wanted to know. Bobby's father and Candy's mother found them. Good job, Lucy. Mr. Quinn gave Lucy a pat. Ready to go, Bobby? I asked Bobby to go get some ice cream with us. Is that okay, Mom? I don't see why not, Candy's mother said. Bobby doesn't live too far from us. We can take him home. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea, Mr. King said. I'll take Lucy with me. No one had asked Bobby if he wanted to go. He didn't want to go. He felt shy just thinking about it. I'm going to have a Rocky Road ice cream, Candy said. What kind do you like, Bobby? I bet you like chocolate. Maybe we can get banana splits. What about it, Ma? Walking out of the park with Candy, her mother, and Butch, they went to the ice cream shop. Candy had a banana split. Bobby had a double dip cone, chocolate. Bobby and Candy sat outside the shop eating their ice cream. Candy said, I'm going to work with Butch all week until he comes when I call him. He's very smart. He's just not trying. Candy giggled. That's what my teacher says about me sometimes. Maybe you should come over to my house with Lucy. We can practice together. Saturday would be a good day. You can come over in the afternoon. Worst thing about being shy was never knowing what to say next. Bobby could see this wasn't going to be a problem with Candy. She talked enough for both of them. Will you come? Candy asked. Bob licked his ice cream cone. It yes, I'll come. Absolutely. Chapter 9. One more friend. Now Bobby had two friends. And what a surprise. His friends were an elderly man and a girl. Even so, Mr. Davis and Candy made very good sense. Made very good friends. It was easy to be around them. He had fun with them. They made him laugh. Sometimes he even made them laugh. Lucy and Butch had been going to obedience school for 3 weeks. Lucy came when she was called. She would sit, she would fetch a ball. But she would not fetch a ball. He wouldn't sit. He still answered to his name only when he felt like it. One day in August, Bobby and Candy were sitting on Bobby's porch. Butch and Lucy were sleeping at their feet. My mom is getting kind of mad at Butch, Candy said. She doesn't think he's trying very hard. Bobby thought maybe Candy's mother was right. I told her Butch is trying. Maybe he's just dumb. Butch must have heard this. He opened his eyes and growled. Sorry, Butch, Candy said. Butch closed his eyes and fell back asleep. We're going to miss 2 classes while we are away. Mom says I can use the time to practice stuff Butch hasn't learned yet. You're going away? Bobby asked. For the first he had heard about Kathy going somewhere. Oh yes, we're going to the lake for 2 weeks. We're going to stay in a cottage. Bobby had a funny feeling in his stomach. He wasn't sure what the feeling was. Then it hit him. He was feeling funny because he was going to miss Candy. He had never missed a friend before. The day Candy left, Bobby was lonely. He decided to take Lucy for a walk and visit Mr. Davis, but when they got to the yellow house, he was locking his door. He was carrying a small suitcase. Are you going somewhere? Yes, Bobby. I'm going to stay with my daughter for a while. Are you feeling all right? Don't worry, I'm fine. Mr. Davis answered, but my house is so hot. I have just the one small air conditioner in the bedroom. My daughter's whole house is air conditioned. I'm going to stay there until it gets cooler. Oh. Bobby had that funny feeling in his stomach again. Mr. Davis looked at Bobby. I won't be gone very long. As soon as we get a good cool breeze, you look for me. Have a great time. Bobby said in a small voice. Lucy yipped. Seemed like Lucy knew that. Mr. Davis was leaving too. A car honked. There's my daughter. He hurried down the stairs. See you, Bobby. Bye, Lucy. Bobby sat down on Mr. Davis' rocking chair. He picked up Lucy and put her on his lap. There was that funny feeling again. He was lonesome. He missed his friends. One day passed, then another and another. Bobby wasn't just lonesome anymore. He was bored. Bobby was so bored. He spent most of his time watching TV. You want to go to the library and get some books? His mother asked. No, it's too hard to read. Maybe too hard to play football, but it's never too hard to read. Bobby was grumpy. I just don't feel like reading. Do you want to go to the swimming pool later? That would cool you off. I don't care. She said, Bobby, all you do is watch TV. At least take Lucy for a walk. Bobby looked at Lucy. Lucy was just stretched out. in front of the air conditioning vent. She didn't look like she wanted to go anywhere. Bobby looked at his mother. She didn't look like she was going to take no for an answer. So Bobby got up and clicked Lucy's leash on her. We might melt, Bobby warned his mother. If you don't come back, I'll look for two puddles of water, one with a tail floating in it. Mrs. Quinn was smiling. Bobby and Lucy went outside. He glanced at the house across the street. He hadn't seen the new kids in a long time. Maybe they were on vacation like Candy. Bobby saw something coming out of the house. It was a boy who was about his own age. The boy began bouncing a yellow tennis ball. He acted like he didn't know Lucy and Bobby were across the street. Bobby could see him picking at them at about every third bounce. Should I say hi? Bobby wondered. He could feel his face getting red. It wasn't just from the heat. He was being shy again. Maybe he had two friends now, but he still didn't want to go up to a strange kid and say hello. Bobby walked more quickly down the block. Suddenly Lucy stopped. She had spotted something. Yellow tennis ball was rolling in her direction. Lucy knew what to do. She had done it plenty of times at obedience school. She tugged at her leash so she could fetch the ball. She grabbed it with the mouth as it rolled by. She tugged on her leash. She tried to get Bobby to cross the street. She wanted to give the ball back to the boy. Bobby didn't want to go across the street, but Lucy did. The boy was in no hurry to get his ball. Just stood there as Bobby and Lucy came toward him. His eyes were down on the sidewalk. He's not very friendly, Bobby thought. Then Bobby realized that he knew that. Look, he knew it better. It wasn't the look of someone who was unfriendly. It was the look of someone who was just shy. Lucy scampered up to the boy. She dropped the ball at his feet and gave a happy bark. Can you give her a pat for bringing you the ball? Bobby asked. That's what they tell us to do at obedience school. The boy didn't say anything, but he patted Lucy's head. Lucy pushed the ball with her paw. The boy looked up. What's your name? The boy asked. In a small boy, Lucy, what's your name? Bobby asked boldly. Sean, Bobby. I live across the street. I know, Sean said. I've seen you. She looks like a great dog. She is. My mom won't let me get a dog yet, but I'm working on her. Dogs make great friends, Bobby told him. I'll tell my mother that. Neither boy said anything for a few seconds. Bobby felt uncomfortable. That's how he felt when he couldn't think of anything to say to the kids at school. Bobby thought maybe it was time to go, but Lucy had the idea. She picked up the ball in her mouth. She looked first at Bobby and then Shaw. She wants to play, Bobby said. He took the ball from Lucy's mouth and he took a great big breath. We have a fencing yard for Lucy. You want to come to my house and play with her? Sean looked happy. Yeah, I'll go ask my mother. I'll be right back. Bobby sat down on the grass to wait for Sean. He pulled Lucy close to him. Lucy, he whispered, I have a feeling Sean might be my third friend. Wow. He continued softly, 3 friends. He thought about how he had met each of his friends. He met all of them because of Lucy. Lucy was like a lucky charm. Bobby gave his dog a squeeze. Even if I make 100 friends, you would always be my best friend. You're absolutely the best dog in the world. Absolutely, Lucy. Lucy barked. She agreed. The end.